By the late 60s AD, the province of Judea was fracturing under the weight of war. John records the onset of this judgment. "And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit." This star acts with specific permission. Comparing this text with later chapters identifies this figure as an angelic being executing delegated authority. The judgment is a controlled release. The angel drives the key into the earth, opening the door to the coming devastation. John continues, "He opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened." As General Vespasian's forces advanced through the Galilee region, they set city after city on fire, sending thick columns of ash into the sky that shadowed the land. Looking across this terrain from a high southern vantage point, a witness in the 1st century would see the northern horizon choked with the smoke of a burning nation. John captures the specific physical landscape visible to those watching the Roman approach. "Out of that darkness," John notes, "there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given power, as the scorpions of the earth have power." In prophetic literature, locusts are a standard symbolic representation of massive, invading foreign armies. In this historical context, that force arrived in the form of the Roman legions, marching south to suppress the Jewish revolt. General Vespasian commanded this campaign, leading tens of thousands of disciplined infantrymen toward the capital. Under his command, these troops pour out from the smoke of northern conquests, descending over the landscape in overwhelming numbers. The unstoppable, methodical march of the Roman infantry mirrors the psychological dread of a biological plague. John uses the locust to describe both the numerical scale of the Roman war machine and the fear it projected. After ravaging the northern countryside, the Roman advance pivoted toward a single, fortified urban center. Revelation 9:4 gives a specific instruction to the swarm, "And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree." Because literal insects consume vegetation, this restriction identifies the swarm as a human-targeted judgment. During the Passover season, Jerusalem was dangerously overcrowded with pilgrims and refugees who had fled the initial Roman assaults in the north. These ancient stone foundations belonged to the dense urban center, where hundreds of thousands found themselves trapped. The verse adds that the swarm should only strike those men which have not the seal of God in their foreheads. The seal represents spiritual obedience, identifying those who heeded Christ's earlier warnings about the city's impending destruction. Faithful residents who recognized the signs of the approaching legions slipped away into the mountains before the Roman net closed. The resulting siege functioned as a selective judgment, as spiritual awareness dictated physical survival. John details the appearance of the swarm. "And the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle, and on their heads were as it were crowns like gold, and their faces were as the faces of men." The imagery shifts, moving clearly from the chaotic biological swarm to reveal the specific features of a highly disciplined military force. A Roman soldier's polished brass helmet would project the appearance of a golden crown. John notes they had hair like women, the teeth of lions, describing the ferocity and strength of the legion's combat style. Verse 9 describes their defense, "And they had breastplates, as it were breastplates of iron." The lorica segmentata, with its overlapping iron bands, was the standard protection for the Roman infantry of this era. John then notes the sound. "The sound of their wings was as the sound of chariots of many horses running to battle, the acoustic reality of thousands of armored men marching in unison." These details align the symbolic language of the vision with the literal equipment and presence of the Roman military. The vision moves from the appearance of the soldiers to their specific operational tactics. Verse 10 adds, "And they had tails like unto scorpions, and there were stings in their tails." Before engaging in hand-to-hand combat, Roman forces would launch an aerial assault as javelins and bolts arc overhead to strike from a distance. The narrow metal tips of the Roman pilum and the bolts fired from machines called Scorpios delivered a lethal, piercing strike before the enemy could reach the Roman line. This ranged superiority allowed the legions to harass the city's defenders from safety, keeping them pinned within the walls. The text describes the military doctrines and ballistic capabilities that defined the Roman siege of Jerusalem. Verse 10 establishes a temporal limit, stating, "The swarm has power to hurt men 5 months." This matches the historical timeline of the final decisive siege of Jerusalem in 70 AD, which lasted 5 months from its start in the spring to its conclusion in late summer. Despite the scale of the Roman forces, the text emphasizes that every phase of the invasion occurred under strict divine timing. The campaign resulted in the collapse of Judea, as Roman forces seized the Holy City and carried off the temple's sacred objects as spoils of war. The removal of the menorah signaled the end of the Jewish temple era and the fulfillment of the 5-month judgment. The imagery of Revelation 9 documents the historical fall of Jerusalem in the late 1st century.